Chosen one, pause for a moment and recognize what is happening right now. This is not random exposure. This is not coincidence. You did not arrive at this message because an algorithm favored you or because you were passing time. Something inside you was pulled here, guided here, led here by a knowing deeper than logic. This moment is speaking directly to the part of you that has survived quietly, endured without applause, and remained standing even when the ground beneath you kept shifting. You have been walking through life sensing that something was different about your journey, even when you could not explain it. You noticed how your path seemed heavier, how delays followed you, how clarity came slowly but deeply, and how silence often surrounded you when you needed confirmation the most. What you thought were interruptions were actually insertions. What you interpreted as divine absence was divine preparation happening in silence. The pauses were intentional. The detours were strategic. The heaviness was not meant to crush you. It was meant to build capacity. You were being strengthened for something that required weight-bearing faith, emotional maturity, and spiritual endurance. Every closed door redirected you away from versions of life that could not hold your future. Every unanswered prayer delayed you just long enough to protect you from premature exposure. This was never punishment. This was alignment disguised as loss. This was protection disguised as rejection. This was refinement disguised as delay. And now something has shifted. The season of explanation has ended. The season of arrival has begun. What you once prepared for in private is now ready to appear in public. The moment you have been sensing without words has finally arrived with confirmation. This is not the next phase. This is the final phase. Everything is ready. You are ready. And nothing is missing. This moment requires more than listening. It requires participation. Engagement is not a casual action here. It is a declaration of alignment. When you choose to stay present with this message, you are choosing not to abandon yourself again. When you decide to watch until the end, you are signaling that you are done skimming your destiny and treating your calling lightly. Too many people ask for transformation but disengage when instruction appears. Too many want elevation without embodiment, but engagement anchors intention into reality. When you comment 99, you are not typing a number. You are making a spiritual statement that you are ready, available, and aligned. You are telling the universe, God, and your own subconscious mind that you are no longer waiting to be chosen. You recognize that you already are. Liking, subscribing, and consciously interacting is not about validation for a platform. It is about embodiment for you. It is you stepping out of observer mode and into agreement mode. Energy responds to participation. Destiny responds to readiness. This is how doors recognize who is prepared to walk through them. Engagement is the language of alignment. This is you saying, I am here. I am open. I am no longer shrinking. And when intention becomes action, activation follows. The waiting phase has expired, not because you demanded it, but because it has completed its assignment. You have learned what you needed to learn. You have unlearned what could not come with you. The version of you that once questioned your worth would not survive where you're going, so it had to dissolve first. Behind the scenes, shifts have been happening without your permission because they did not require it. Conversations you were never part of. Doors closing you never knocked on. Alignments forming without your awareness. Heaven and earth have been quietly reorganizing to support what is now emerging. This is why things suddenly feel clearer. This is why certain desires feel louder. This is why your tolerance for misalignment has dropped. Manifestation has begun, not as fantasy, but as function. Purpose is no longer abstract. Assignments are becoming specific. The fog is lifting because movement is now required. You are no longer in the waiting room. You're being called forward. What you once prayed for is now responding to you. Understand this clearly. This is not another test. This is not another cycle of almost. This is not another lesson dressed as disappointment. The preparation phase is complete. You are no longer being examined. You are being entrusted. This is not rehearsal energy. This is real event energy. The uncertainty that followed you for so long is dissolving because evidence is about to replace questions. What you practiced in obscurity will now function in visibility. What you carried quietly will now speak loudly through results. This is the phase where permission replaces pressure, where alignment replaces anxiety, where trust replaces trial. You are no longer proving that you are capable. You are demonstrating that you are ready. The shift from preparation to presentation has begun, and it will feel unfamiliar at first because ease may feel strange after survival. But this is not luck. This is not coincidence. This is completion. Once resistance is lifted, momentum becomes unavoidable. You are stepping into a season where time itself begins to respond differently to you. What once required relentless effort will now move with surprising ease. This acceleration may feel sudden, but it is not rushed. It is precise. The delay built structure. The silence built strength. Now, the release comes quickly because you are no longer fragile. Opportunities will arrive in clusters rather than one at a time. Conversations will open doors you were not trying to access. Information will find you without pursuit. Financial movement will come through channels you never calculated. This is divine flow, not chaos, not overwhelm, but orchestrated movement where the next step reveals itself as soon as you take the last one. The universe is no longer testing your patience, it is rewarding your perseverance. You may notice that people appear at the exact moment you need them, offering support, resources, or insight without knowing the role they are playing. This is not coincidence. This is confirmation. When acceleration arrives, it does not ask if you are ready. It reveals that you are. What once took years will now compress into months. What once felt stalled will now surge forward. This is not pressure. It is propulsion. You are not chasing anymore. You are being carried. There is a profound internal shift happening now, one that cannot be explained but will soon be seen. You are moving from invisibility to recognition, from silence to resonance, from internal knowing to external confirmation. For a long time, you felt unseen, misunderstood, or prematurely judged. You learned to carry vision without validation. You learned to hold truth without applause. That season trained you not to depend on external affirmation. Now, results will begin speaking where explanations once failed. You will no longer need to clarify who you are or defend what you carry. The fruit will be undeniable. Your life will begin answering questions before they are asked. Overflow will replace justification. The work you have done internally is about to show itself externally, not through noise, but through impact. Identity is no longer something you are forming, it is something you are expressing. This shift may feel uncomfortable because visibility requires vulnerability, but you are no longer fragile. You are rooted. What is coming will be so clear that doubt will no longer find a place to sit. You are not emerging to prove anything. You are emerging because it is time. Every tear you cried in private has been recorded. Every prayer whispered in exhaustion was heard. Every lonely battle where you questioned if it was worth continuing still mattered. Nothing was wasted. Rejection was not cruelty, it was redirection. You were being guided away from spaces that could not honor your growth. What felt like loss was actually protection shaping your future. Resistance followed you because destiny carries weight, and not every environment can support it. Endurance marked you as chosen long before recognition ever would. You survived seasons that would have broken others, not because you were stronger by nature, but because you were sustained by purpose. The pain did not disqualify you, it refined you. The isolation did not weaken you, it clarified you. Now, as validation arrives, it will not erase the past, but it will explain it. You will finally understand why you had to walk alone, why answers came slowly, and why strength was built quietly. This is not revenge energy. This is resolution energy. Your endurance has reached its reward. Authority is no longer something you are reaching for. It is something you are embodying. You may notice that you speak less but are heard more, that you explain less but influence more, that your presence shifts environments before your words ever do. This is because authority does not announce itself, it settles. You are no longer trying to convince anyone of your worth, your calling, or your capacity. Confidence is now rooted in alignment, not performance. There is a calm certainty about you that cannot be imitated or challenged. Even your silence carries weight now because it is backed by lived experience, not theory. You have entered a phase where you no longer seek permission to take up space. You simply occupy it. This is not arrogance, it is arrival. You have been shaped by fire, refined by waiting, and matured by endurance. Authority has emerged naturally because you stayed when it would have been easier to leave. Now, the room adjusts when you enter. This is not something you force. It is something you allow. There was a time when the weight of what you were called to carry would have overwhelmed you. Not because you lacked potential, but because you were still becoming the container. The mantle was always prepared, but you were still growing into the posture required to wear it without distortion. Now, that growth has happened quietly and completely. Your motives have shifted. What once came from a need to be seen has been replaced with a desire to serve with precision. What once sought validation now seeks impact. You are no longer driven by urgency rooted in fear, but by clarity anchored in purpose. This is how you know maturity has arrived. You do not chase platforms. You steward presence. You do not seek approval. You create stability. You have learned discernment the hard way, through disappointment, through delay, through moments where you had to choose integrity over convenience. That is why the mantle fits now. It no longer feels heavy, it feels aligned. You are not intimidated by responsibility because you understand that authority is not about control, it is about stewardship. The calling you carry has found its match in who you have become. You are not stepping into something too big for you. You have grown into something big enough to hold it. The greatest shift in this final phase is not external, it is internal. You are releasing the need to force outcomes, manipulate timing, or prove readiness through exhaustion. Striving was never your assignment, trust was. You fought battles that were never meant to be yours because you did not yet know that alignment eliminates warfare. Now, surrender has replaced struggle. Grace has replaced grind. Flow has replaced force. You are discovering that when you stop pushing, things start opening. When you stop chasing, alignment starts meeting you. This does not mean passivity. It means precision. You move when directed, rest when instructed, and receive without guilt. The war has already been won. You are not entering conflict. You are entering reward. Peace is not a pause. It is a sign of victory. This is the season where you walk into blessings without bleeding for them. The exhaustion phase is over. The reward phase has begun. Signs are beginning to appear in ordinary moments. Conversations that confirm what you already sensed. Invitations that match your readiness without explanation. Opportunities that arrive without you having to ask. This is how destiny confirms itself. Quietly, consistently, unmistakably. The door you thought you had to knock on has already been opened. All that remains is your willingness to walk through it without apology. No more shrinking. No more waiting for permission. No more delaying success out of comfort or fear of visibility. This is the moment where hesitation must give way to obedience. You are not intruding, you are invited. You are not early, you are aligned. The instruction is simple now, walk in. Carry yourself like you belong, because you do. This door responds to confidence, not insecurity. Step forward. Confusion has lost its grip. You no longer question who you are or why you are here. Clarity has replaced chaos because identity has stabilized. You know your values. You know your vision. You know your voice. You are no longer hiding pieces of yourself to be accepted. You understand that leadership requires visibility, and you are no longer afraid of being seen. The need to blend in has dissolved. You are never meant to fit. You are meant to lead. You carry legacy now, not just ambition. Light, vision, and responsibility move with you because you are no longer fragmented. This is wholeness. This is integration. You are not searching for yourself anymore. You are expressing yourself fully. The final phase does not ask you to become someone else. It invites you to stand fully as who you already are. This is the season where restoration arrives in forms you never knew how to ask for. It goes far beyond money, though provision will increase. It reaches into moments you lost, peace you surrendered, joy you postponed, and connections that were delayed because you were not yet free to receive them. Divine compensation does not rush in loudly. It settles in gently, replacing struggle with stability and anxiety with assurance. You may find yourself experiencing ease where there was once effort, calm where there was once tension, and gratitude where there was once grief. Honor returns without campaigning. Recognition arrives without self-promotion. The universe now corrects the imbalance created by years of endurance. What was withheld for your protection is now released for your enjoyment. Celebration replaces survival. You are not catching up, you are being compensated. This is not indulgence, it is justice. You paid the price earlier. Now you receive the reward. Your elevation has never been about you alone. What is happening now reaches backward and forward at the same time. Cycles that once repeated end with you. Limitations that lived in your bloodline lose their authority through your obedience. Doors that were locked for generations open because you were willing to endure. Your growth creates space for others to rise. Your courage gives permission to those watching quietly. This is legacy work. You're not just stepping into success. You are breaking ceilings so others do not have to. What you build now becomes a bridge for others later. The impact of your alignment extends beyond your lifetime, touching futures you may never meet. This is why the preparation was intense. This is why the calling felt heavy. You were never meant to carry it alone. You were meant to carry it for many. You are entering a state where effort gives way to intuition. Right place, right time experiences become common rather than rare. Decisions feel clearer because discernment has sharpened. You no longer second-guess every move because your inner compass has aligned with truth. Creation feels effortless not because it lacks intention, but because resistance is gone. This is flow, not laziness, not avoidance, but alignment expressed through ease. When you move, things respond. When you speak, pathways open. This synchronization is evidence that you are no longer working against yourself or the moment. Force has been replaced by faith in motion. You are finally moving with the current instead of against it. The season of planting has ended. The season of harvesting has begun. What you sowed in tears, patience, discipline, and faith is now returning in visible form. Breakthroughs will feel sudden, but they are the result of long obedience. Rewards will arrive in abundance, not because you demanded them, but because you endured without quitting. This is not a test season, it is a testimony season. The harvest will be unmistakable. Others will see it. You will feel it. Confirmation will come without effort. This is the reward phase. Receive it without guilt. Enjoy it without fear. You are not ahead. You are right on time. There is a quiet but undeniable sense of completion settling into your spirit now. Not the kind that announces itself loudly, but the kind that stabilizes you from the inside out. You are no longer fragmented, no longer split between who you are and who you think you need to be. The endless self-adjusting, the shape-shifting to fit rooms that never truly held you, the internal negotiations just to be accepted, those patterns have lost their grip. You have reached a place of wholeness where you recognize that you are fully qualified as you are. Nothing essential is missing. Nothing needs to be added for you to be worthy of what is arriving. The version of you that once felt not ready yet has dissolved, replaced by a grounded certainty that you are already standing in readiness. This is the version of yourself you were unconsciously waiting to become. The striving to improve has matured into a commitment to embody. You are no longer chasing growth out of insecurity. You are expressing growth from integration. Completion does not mean perfection. It means alignment. And alignment brings peace. You are walking forward now without the weight of self-doubt slowing your steps, carrying yourself with the confidence of someone who knows they belong exactly where they are. Something has shifted in how others respond to you, even if they cannot explain it. Your energy now speaks before your words do. You no longer need to announce your arrival. Presence does that for you. This is what self-authorization looks like. You are no longer waiting for permission to lead, create, or occupy space. You have stopped outsourcing your confidence to external validation. Authority has settled into your posture, your tone, your decisions. People sense it. Situations respond to it. You are no longer asking, "Am I allowed?" You are moving from an internal knowing that says, "I am assigned." This authority is not loud or forceful. It is calm, steady, undeniable. It comes from lived experience, not theory. From endurance, not entitlement. You own your story now, every chapter, including the painful ones. You own your light without apology. You own your voice without shrinking. This is not arrogance. It is alignment fully embodied. When you authorize yourself, the world follows suit. Momentum has begun to build in a way that feels almost self-sustaining. Once movement starts in alignment, it multiplies. Events unfold rapidly now, not in chaos, but in order. Life reorganizes itself around your purpose. Systems that once resisted you now support you. Patterns that once repeated in frustration begin resolving naturally. Confusion gives way to clarity because decisions are no longer made from fear or hesitation. Evidence starts appearing, small at first, then undeniable. Doors opening, delays dissolving, progress stacking. This is not imagination. This is demonstration. The speed you are experiencing is not pressure. It is confirmation that resistance has been removed. You are finally moving at the pace of your assignment. Things are happening because they're supposed to now. Destiny is no longer waiting for you to catch up. You are moving together. This is the green light moment. Not fueled by emotion, not driven by excitement, but grounded in commitment. Motivation comes and goes, but commitment carries you through visibility, responsibility, and expansion. You no longer need external encouragement to move forward. The inner knowing is enough. You trust yourself now. You trust your discernment. You trust the timing. The signal is clear. Proceed. This is not the season for hesitation or second guessing. This is the season where commitment replaces fear-based delay. You're no longer operating from survival mode. Scarcity thinking is being replaced with overflow consciousness. You are building from stability, not scrambling from lack. When you move now, you move with conviction. The green light is not outside of you. It is within you. What was once hidden is becoming visible, not for attention, but for confirmation. Quiet victories begin to surface. Progress that happened in silence now has evidence. Blessings are no longer abstract. They are tangible, undeniable. Your life becomes a living demonstration of divine timing and alignment. Not to impress, but to inspire. Not to prove, but to validate. Others may finally understand why your journey looked the way it did. Why the delay was necessary. Why the silence mattered. This visibility does not feel overwhelming because you are no longer seeking approval from it. You are simply allowing truth to be seen. Purpose is no longer theoretical. It is expressed through your life. As you rise, alignment becomes non-negotiable. The right people begin finding you without force. Partnerships form naturally, rooted in mutual respect, shared vision, and purpose rather than convenience. At the same time, outgrown connections fall away peacefully. No drama, no resentment, just completion. You no longer compromise destiny for comfort or familiarity. You understand now that alignment requires courage, not attachment. You carry a royal mindset, not in ego, but in responsibility. You build. You do not beg. You collaborate. You do not chase. Relationships in this phase are not drains. They are multipliers. Everyone has a place, and everyone has a season. You honor both. What opens now is bigger than opportunity. It is access. Doors are opening into realms, not rooms. Influence expands. Creativity multiplies. Authority stretches into new dimensions. Wealth becomes a tool, not a distraction. You walk as someone who belongs, not as someone hoping to be included. This is not just becoming, it is crowning. You are stepping into a level of responsibility that reflects who you have become. The influence you carry now is meant to shape environments, build systems, and leave impact beyond your immediate reach. You are not visiting this level. You are established here. This is legacy in motion. Let this be settled once and for all. You are not late. You are not lost. You are not overlooked. You are aligned, approved, and fully ready. Every delay had purpose. Every silence had intention. Every challenge refined you for this exact moment. The final phase is not approaching, it has begun. You do not need to fear what is coming, because you were prepared for it long before it arrived. Receive without guilt. Rise without apology. Reign without fear. Walk forward with clarity, confidence, and peace. This is your time. The final phase is here.